Good afternoon and welcome to the pre-lunch session of the Captive Power Series 2009. This edition is being held in Bhubaneswar on the 16th of September. We have come here from Raipur, where we had another conference on the 14th of September, in which we had the honor of listening to the experiences and the expertise of Sri Kodanda Ram, who is in fact a very senior advocate in the Hyderabad High Court, who has also practiced and worked on cases before the Supreme Court. Sir, before we get into the power sector, the legalities of the power sector, we'd like to know Andhra Pradesh took certain steps to work on the power sector, to incentivize the power sector. They put in a framework in place with respect to wheeling charges, etc., long before many other states did. So, sir, what has been the experience of Andhra Pradesh in that sense, and has it been smooth, or have these things got stuck in legal difficulties and regulatory problems?
Well, Andhra Pradesh, notwithstanding the fact that they have taken a lead after Orissa of 1996 by enacting a Reform Act in 1998 and thereby became the second state to kickstart the reforms, and a quick unbundling also was done. Later, while implementing the Act, either of the Reform Act or of the Electricity Act, in my opinion, they had seen more of the state's interest than the sector interest. That was a feeling I had, because a series of battles, legal battles, which an entrepreneur had to fight throughout, starting with the wheeling charges cases in 2000, and thereafter with respect to various permissions to be granted, and in particular with respect to the treatment that was given to the renewable energy sources of power generation and the implementation of the incentive issues. It has definitely put a dampener on the power sector in the state.
Great. What are the 2-3 cases that come to your mind that best illustrate this problem?
Well, one is in 2000-2001, the state transmission companies refusing to wheel the energy of the independent power producers and then insisting that the agreements be cancelled, or in other way by imposing a higher wheeling charges contrary to the agreements entered into through the mechanism of the regulatory commissions. In fact, it's sorry to say that regulatory commissions have been used as the tools by the state government for the purpose of thwarting and getting out of the contracts which they have entered into.
Great. And how is that so, sir? How can the regulatory commission be used as a tool?
Well, if the regulator, as the saying goes, if wherever you sit, if the man who is serving food is your man, you get the best of the food. In the same way here, because the regulatory commissions, chairmen, though there is a technical mechanism of appointing by an independent body, it is a common knowledge that the choice of the executive or the chief of the executive government has his say, and a retired person gets installed in that seat, and thereafter what happens is that they feel that they are obliged to the political bosses or to the state, and in the process they do not take independent decisions in accordance with the law or the spirit of the act, of that promoting and freeing the sector from the clutches of the state entities. That is one aspect, and second aspect is that most of the regulatory commissions, from our experience, what we have seen is they are packed with the people from the S2L electricity boards. Their mindset is of the S2L electricity board mindset rather than independent mindset. The third aspect of it is that concerned, the regulators somehow, for some reason or other, they feel obliged that to the state governments rather than to take the sector as a whole. An interest of the sector is the issues which arise and which are there in present even today.
Great. So you are familiar with the elements of the Balco case, having successfully, or rather at least to the extent possible, whatever you could say, having fought this. So, sir, what are the key learning areas that we can derive out of this particular experience in the Balco case?
Balco case with respect to power?
To power.
I'm unfamiliar with that. I should be frank enough in admitting that aspect is concerned.
Got it. Next would be, sir, given the fact that AP tried to lead the way in mainstreaming of power capacities, there are two other states, Chhattisgarh and Orissa, in states which you are speaking in our captive power conference series, both of these. What kind of problems or challenges do you see that are happening over here which would lead to litigation or have already led to litigation in power related matters?
Well, so far as the litigation is concerned, be it be Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Rajasthan, any state for that matter, what we have been advocating all through and arguing before the various regulatory forums is that both under section 61 and also various other provisions of the Act, first the regulators have been given power to make regulations with respect to the policy matters. And unfortunately, most of the regulators, what has been done is they decide on case-to-case basis, on ad hoc basis, and they are treating their orders in a particular case to be the regulations for the future, rather than in principle that these are all the policy guidelines which we set in, and these are all the policy framework within which the stakeholders are expected to function. Instead of doing that, on an ad hoc basis, from case to case basis, they are deciding, and that case is being treated as a policy or as a guidance for the next entrepreneur. And in which case, again, what happens is each of the case becomes a subject to satisfaction of the regulators or of the policymakers.
Great. So in some
in other words, it's a total lack of clear policy which is promulgated or which is notified that this is the framework of the rules of the game within which the regulators, all the stakeholders would be playing.
Great.
And regulators being as the referees,
right,
and allowing the sector to play by itself.